of the podcast.
That's close.
It is.
It's
Actually hold on. What's in the Dungeon podcast? It's on my Discord. What's in the Dungeon? With me and him. It's been what now? 7 years? It's been a decade.
I have no idea. I think it's long enough that like we don't actually have any videos on. No, we don't.
That's definitely true. There's no videos on our stream.
It's been more than 30 days.
It's been forever.
It's actually, we haven't done one since last year.
Damn.
I think our last one was in December.
Damn. We're doing great. We're doing wonderful.
Look, man, fuck all those people. All those not people. Here's the thing. This is our podcast. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
We can. I apologize. I cannot. So I was telling Murph before we started, my soundboard, I guess the soundboard I got is no longer supported, so I keep getting error messages. So I can't mute or do anything with my mic. So if anyone watches and can let me know if the levels are fine, that's great. But like, if I blow my nose, I apologize. I'm just gonna move the mic like far away and hopefully you can't hear me as much, and then I bring it back to talk. I also will be eating because I'm starving, and I just got back from the gymnasium, so I will be eating while this is happening. But hopefully you can't hear it because Murph couldn't hear it earlier when I was eating. This is What's in the Dungeon podcast, a talk show podcast. A talk show, that's not right.
Style podcast. A Tolkien show style podcast. If there's not something
Murph,
called
it's
the
been
Tolkien
so
show
long.
that talks about...
It's been so long, I don't know how to talk.
No, you're good. If it makes you feel any better, every time I take these stupid braces out of my mouth, I start lisping even harder than if I have them in.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
We started this podcast.
We do exist.
As a noob and a non-noob to the world of D&D, but as a greater whole to tabletop and gaming culture of all kinds. Because
Absolutely.
We kind of talk about everything. So for those of you who give two fucks,
A cheese curd. Bam.
hey, well, where'd you get them?
They're left over in my fridge. I don't know. They were in a bag.
They're actually laced with THC.
Man,
so enjoy your time.
I'm gonna have a fun night.
That's what I want. Is I want hemp oil cheese.
So it's gonna taste terrible.
The worst diarrhea of all time.
But no, we've had a lot of life circumstances. We had Christmas, which is already terrible. Then we had, I don't know. I was sick for about 6 months. I felt like every other week I had a sinus infection.
True.
And then the weeks I didn't have sinus infection, Murph had sinus infections.
It's true. I was sick.
So there was that.
Yeah, it's just been a lot going on.
Murph's been planning life things.
Yeah,
he also had to go to other people's life things, which I'm like, bruh, come on.
things.
And then just busy things. We're gonna commit to it. I'm gonna commit now at the beginning of the podcast to at least every other week. I think we can commit to that.
I think realistically, another problem that we ran into is that we were trying to do it every Wednesday, and the problem was that between both of our jobs and then just things happening towards the end of the year, it's difficult to keep.
But we're back,
that pace.
new and improved. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed except my soundboard doesn't work.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get that fixed too. There's been some artwork being developed in the background. To finally start making this look and feel more like a real podcast.
More like a professional podcast.
I wanna point out that John nor I have dedicated or
No.
decided that we're done with this. It
No.
has literally not been a lack of interest. It has been just circumstance. Like,
you know what it felt like for a time? It felt like that friend that you like worked a job with, and then they quit. And then, like, they text you every once in a while, and they're like, hey, we should get together. And you're like, sure.
Yeah,
but then you don't ever make any plans, and then you never see them or hear from them after, like, a year. So I was like, we got to do this, or it's just going to fall off, and we're never going to do it again.
Because we talked about it. We'd be like, are we good for Wednesday?
We're doing it. And then I'd be like, but Hollow Knight or Blasphemous, John, come play us. And I'd be like, damn, you're right. It was difficult.
Mainly just like, fiance would go, hey parents, and I'd be like, okay.
Well, also you work like a traditional 9 to 5, and you also have to commute like 30 minutes. So by the time you get off at 5 and getting like, you've worked a full day and you come home and then you immediately have to talk for an hour and a half. It's like, that's rough. I get it.
And days like today are like, bro, my social battery's like,
yeah. And it's difficult. I feel that.
So on topics to try to keep things flowing at a reasonable pace.
I will say this though. We're back. We're better than ever. Improved, new and improved. We need an acronym that makes sense.
What is not improved but more of the same? New, but more
American politics. Pew, 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 pew. That's right.
Same
We're coming
idea.
back. We're coming back with pop culture references such as.
Also, why did we coordinate shirts?
We
I don't
did.
understand.
We did coordination. Well, this is the only
WTF shirt, which is one of my
Also,
favorite shirts of all time.
even though I'm in sweats, I picked out 3 shirts to wear, and they were all gray. And I was like, I can't wear gray sweats and gray shirts. And then I realized I'm on a podcast, no one's gonna see my pants. But then I was like, but I'll know, and I won't feel right.
You'll feel.
Yeah.
Bad. No.
But no, new and improved. We're committed. We're gonna be doing stuff. We have a theme for today. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna keep talking over Murph consistently. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
We're getting back into it. No, there's 2 things I was gonna ask you.
So
one kind of relates to the podcast and one otherwise.
I've just discovered. Okay, the sliders work because I turned the chat volume up and you got louder, but the buttons don't work.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna just.
I mean, there might. Let me
haunted.
rephrase that. When I stated that there was no support for it, that doesn't mean that there's not firmware out there. I just mean that they're not currently like
updating it,
actively developing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sorry.
All right. First question is, you just got back from a trip.
I did.
How was it? And was it good?
Murph, I'm gonna move to Denver. I'm gonna move to Denver at some point in my life.
did.
It was so nice.
You did like it?
Murph, I hate Virginia. I've always hated Virginia. It's always terrible, and I know I've just doxed us, but it's fine. You don't know where. Ooh, we're on the west coast of Virginia.
If they get the IP address, it doesn't matter.
That's true. It doesn't matter what we say. I could say we live in.
They're gonna be like, we're in Denmark, and they're like, yep, this guy's exactly at this fucking.
Murph, don't say it. No. We're just gonna say the whole address. No. It was good. Denver's a nice city. It's like So we've been to DC before, and DC has big city vibes, but they're like aggressive. They're like, if you spend too much time out there, somebody's gonna shoot, stab, and rob you. Like all probably in the same block.
You're talking about DC specifically, right?
Yeah, DC specifically. So then going to Denver. Denver was lovely. The weather was like a cool 50 for the most part. They have so much room. Like Denver they call it the Mile High City because it's elevated, but also it's just it's flat, and then like 20 minutes outside of Denver is the Rocky Mountains. Like, and you can see it in your periphery everywhere you go. Like, it's always there. So it looks great.
I'm 90% sure Coors and Coors Light beers are made in Denver because they have to be made a certain way because of the elevation.
They've got big city vibes, but it's a big city, like built up. So, but they got lots of room. So there's lots of room for expansion. Like, it's really nice. And we were hanging out at like 9:00 at night, and it wasn't sketchy. Like out in the street, like there were people walking around doing shit. Like they got something for everyone. It was enjoyable. Like they have their mall is like outside. It's like you walk around to different stores, but they're like outside in the open air, and then you walk into
like
the building.
Outlet kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like an outlet, but it's in like a mall area. It's really cool.
Okay, I feel that.
There's a street called 16th Street Mall, and that's the name of the street, and it runs like a whole street length, and it's just a bunch of different like bodegas and shops and restaurants and stuff. They have dispensaries like every 5 minutes, I felt like, that seem really professional and really cool. I will not speak to their use, but it was an enjoyable time.
It's not illegal anymore, so it's whatever.
Cool.
Well, weirdly enough, it is just not. It is federally.
It's federally legal because I looked it up. Because the TSA, if they notice it in your bag, they won't do anything, but they'll turn you over to local authorities. So they'll just snitch on you. Okay, great.
Well, what's weird because local authorities are what allow it. So like city police.
But not if we brought it back. Because if we brought it back, because technically here...
You can technically import it in Virginia. Because although there are dispensaries in Virginia, and it is technically legal...
You have to have a card,
and
you have to have, I think, 0.25 grams or less or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's stupid. It's one of those things that like they're leading to, like minimum wage. They can't just make it $20. They've got to...
No, they could.
Slowly.
They just don't.
No, they don't. I'm going to blow my nose, so let me push the mic away.
No, you're fine. Well, I'm glad that you could just put your slider all the way down, couldn't you?
No, because the overall volume that for my mic is tied to the feedback, not to the actual mic levels. So I can turn it down so I can't hear myself, but you would still hear me.
Oh, nice. You'd be like, I'm gonna be so muted.
I'm gonna be so stealthy.
All right, but so how was the actual event?
It was good. We went and saw so I got tickets to see my brother and me live in Denver, and it was very fun. They're another podcast. I'm going to say another podcast because we're on the same level, even though they have millions of viewers.
They're also a more successful podcast.
No, they have like a whole family of podcasts. They're really cool.
There's a few groups like that I follow, so I feel that completely.
It's really cool. It was good. I liked seeing them live. They definitely, so they a lot of in jokes. So like if you don't know what's going on and if you haven't listened to their stuff,
then it's an event for the people that watch the podcast.
Yeah. Like, you don't go just to see them. Like
yeah. I just there's 3 guys showed up.
Like know what if I say shrimp heaven now, no one's gonna understand that in the context of anything unless you've listened to a very specific episode of their podcast. But no, it was fun. It was good, and then we flew back, and it was fun. I like flying.
It's enjoyable. It's a risk to kill me, but I enjoy it.
Anyway, so we also recently watched the D&D movie. Murph, in 3 words, describe the D&D movie.
Campy, entertaining, and funny.
Good.
That's been your thing.
It's been the middle finger. I've had really negative vibes for the last year, so I'm embracing it now.
You're just becoming one with
so campy, funny.
It was enjoyable.
It was good. I liked it because it was an opening. Like you could watch it. Like my dad and brother watching. They don't know anything about D&D, and they loved it. And then I know obviously everything about D&D, and I watched it and I loved it. So it was like
I like how
it made it better if you knew stuff. Because then it was like, it's like,
people that don't. So
I know that spell.
Is there shit within levels? Like again, so like the whole purpose of this podcast, I know less than you about the subject matter. So there were things that I have learned from not only our campaign, but from learning from you that I was able to go, oh, I know what that means now in the movie. And then you're going, did you catch this other thing? And I'm like, no, I don't know what that. I don't know what that is.
That's okay. We'll get there. It was fun though, because it's like you get a little in joke then.
And it's so good. I really do hope they make a sequel. Like, I know that it wasn't hugely popular, but like it showed so much potential for the whole. And it felt like the only thing about that movie that I wish would have been better, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen the ending, is that I really wish they'd have pulled out like at the end of the campaign and then showed a bunch of celebrities sitting at a table that had never played D&D before. And then you find out that everything you just witnessed was just a local game.
That would have been
one
funny.
shot that they had done to teach people. So it's like Jason Statham, The Rock, like just people you would not expect playing these characters. Like I wish Betty White was in it. I know she's dead, but like think about it if they pan out and Betty White's
ghost is there.
Well, she'd been playing the barbarian or the warrior.
That'd been funny.
Like, oh fuck, it's Betty White. It's basically just one big Snickers commercial where they're like, "You're not you when you're hungry," but like they pan out. And it's
you're
like
not you when you play D&D.
Yeah, being the purpose. I thought it was good. There were some really good jokes in it. Chris Pine was infinitely more entertaining in that movie than I was going to give him credit for.
This is a hot take. I generally don't like Chris Pine. I think his face is dumb. But no, I don't think it's him. I think it's anything he's in. I'm just not a fan of. Like I did like the Star Trek series.
Oh, okay.
Not a big fan. And then like anything else that I can't name right now because my brain is blanking. I've just not ever thought of him in a role and gone, oh, you did great in that. But I liked him. He was funny and stupid, and he wasn't like I was worried by having like a big Hollywood, an actor, like a big actor name in it. They would kind of treat the source material like they were better than it. Like, I'm fucking Chris Pine. You want me to come in and play this nerdy ass D&D?
So here's the thing, as I genuinely thought that's what Hugh Grant was gonna do.
Yeah, and he totally like played into it. I know they did him so dirty.
So bad. It makes him look like such an asshole. Because every time they'd ask him questions, he'd be like, "I don't know what that means," and you're just like, "Oh God, why is he?" But then his character, he nailed.
He did so good.
He was a fantastic.
He played a very good rogue.
Weird, fucking weirdo. It was funny. It was funny enough. But just not funny. And that's the thing is that people say that the original D&D movie's biggest flaw is that it took itself too seriously. It took itself as like a high fantasy, all
like a Tolkien
at stake. And this D&D movie was, it's just, there's only one event happening. And it could affect the world, but not really right now. And
it felt very in the realm of a campaign. Like, it felt more like an on the rails campaign. Like it felt more like one of the module books that you see, because it did follow like a set path, and the characters kind of did the stereotypical thing. Like it was funny because like you could obviously tell when they had critical failures and critical successes because like what the fuck.
We both know exactly the scene we're thinking of, which is the concentration spell loss.
Yeah, and that was cool too, because it's like she got hit, she couldn't cast the spell. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, no, not her. I'm talking about the illusion spell.
Oh yeah, and he's like, he just starts melting.
He lost concentration because he got stuck.
He was unable to focus.
The practical applications of things, like it's so funny because it's like, what is D&D? Watch this movie. This is what your world building is. Like, we're not following that, but like even in our own campaign, when we're playing, this is the kind of shit you picture. Like, if you don't know what to think of, is a fantastic like toe in the water of, when I describe something to you, this is what you should be thinking. This is the scale of what you should be thinking. This is the kind of, and again, there was a lot of shit in there that I didn't know about, like the little brain creatures from the Underdark.
Yeah,
those sound terrifying. I hate the idea of something like that piloting.
They're like a very low challenge rating, though. They're very low level, but they can. I've used them before, and they're spooky because they can literally just like eat your brain and then get inside of you and then pilot you around like a little automaton, like chirp, 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 chirp. But they're generally like, you can just step on them sometimes. But they're mind flayer pets, so they usually, when you see those, you see some tentacle monsters coming soon after.
Not in that movie,
which I was fine with, because the Baldur's Gate 3 is like all about illithids and mind flayer colonies and shit like that, and spawning, all that sort of thing. So it was kind of played out, but no, it was good. It was good.
It was fun. It was a good experience. Between that and I was gonna say, is there anything else that was going on that you want to mention before we jump into?
No, I was sitting there thinking today, like, just time management and stuff. I was actually not sitting. I was standing in the shower. You have your thinking showers and you have your stinking showers. Your stinking showers are the ones you have to take. The thinking showers are the ones you take to kind of center yourself, and I take a lot
it's morning shower versus evening shower.
Yeah, and sometimes 5 or 6 in between. I do a lot of thinking. I have my skin is like sandpaper. It just like rips right off.
Have you ever seen the movie Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene where he can only think when he grinds the fruit into the helmet?
Yes.
Because he lost his other brain.
Yeah.
It's just like everything.
That's the image. Like, I can't think unless I'm in the shower.
I can't in the shower.
I just carry around like a big pail of hot water. Just like, actually,
I have remembered.
No, it's just like, it takes a lot. Like, everything takes time, and I was like thinking about priorities and stuff, and I realized that like a big reason we haven't done the podcast on a Wednesday is because that's when I do my writing, because Wednesdays are usually my day off, and it takes a shit ton of time to write stuff out and like plan things. So like, I'm usually pretty, like, it's on my off day, but I'm pretty like creatively drained, because it's like I spent 4 hours writing out the next bit of the campaign and NPCs and stuff, and I spent another hour assembling the board or getting the minifigs or not minifigs, that's Lego, getting the miniatures or putting I'm using D&D Beyond now for encounters, because it keeps track of things, and I just have a little laptop I use, or just putting those together and trying to figure out challenge ratings and stuff like that. It takes a lot of time, and then by the end of it, it's like,
then you have members of the D&D campaign that can't even take 8 seconds to pick their spells, and you've got 8.5 hours.
And it's like, or I look up while I'm detailing something and everyone's on their phone looking at memes, and I'm like,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, because like, I literally, I've realized that every single one of us at the table has some mild to severe form of a disorder involving attention. So I can't really, if I'm in a one-on-one with Titus, then it's hard for me to assume that Aramil and Irban would also be as interested as Titus and I would be in that exact moment. Now, ideally it would be cool, but like, at the same time, I understand where everyone's at, because like, I'll look up from my notes half the time and go, what? Who? Like, what is this? What's going on?
Forgive me. So I want to put this out into the universe. It is hard to have time away from a significant other that doesn't 100% understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you have, especially in my case, an event on the horizon. So I'll be like chilling. I'm like, okay, love you. I'm going to go do something now. And it's got 13 messages that says, hey, while you're there, I need you to ask these questions and I need these answers back at this time. And I'm like, what? I sound like later. And they're like, what do you mean later? I'm like, please don't make me sit here and explain to you for 30 minutes. Well, I don't feel like, guys, I need to stop the campaign. So
Hold
what
up.
color are you wearing?
Hold up. No, you're fine. I get it. And that's why I was like, everyone's got lives. I mean, it's not like we play D&D professionally. So like, if I treat DMing as a job because I have to get stuff done. The players don't because you don't need to. Like, I mean, I wouldn't expect you to. Like, I have a specific day and a specific amount of hours and a specific routine I follow to make sure that the story is completed and the session is ready and that I've got everything done. I have a list. I treat it like a job because otherwise I don't like being unprepared. And D&D means you're going to be unprepared. Like not that. I don't like sitting down to a campaign and going, let's roll. And then I just sit there and I wait. Because one, not to rag on anyone, the players in this campaign are not self-starters yet. Like, you guys have not played enough to know what you can and cannot do without me kind of like doing some nudging or some illusions or some some illusion. No, but like alluding to things. Like, I need to provide handrails for you to carry yourself along in the story sometimes, as opposed to like, you know, some other more seasoned characters who've gone through like, you know, 14 campaigns would be able to just I could just sit down and I would, here's the world, do what you want, here's some hooks, follow those, and it would be a lot more loose and it might not take as much time. But also, me as a person, I am a organized control freak, so I like to make sure everything's done. And I also know that I have a severe lack of attention sometimes. I procrastinate like hell, so the only way for me to make sure things get done is if I mentally categorize DMing as a job, so that it's important to my brain, so that if I sit down on a Wednesday at this cafe I go to at 10 a.m., I know I need to get all this done by 2 p.m. and I need to write this out. I need to build these encounters and I need to make sure I have these miniatures in. I need to make sure that the board is built or that the scenes are set or whatever extras I'm using. And then as we start play, things unfold, and you know, there's open world and open-ended things that, I mean, sometimes I just add things in because it's like, oh, I'd like to do that, so I'm just gonna pretend like this was prepared. Yeah, but there's still, you know, general guardrails and general, like last session, I ended up scratching out like half of a page of notes I had of what was gonna happen because I was like, that doesn't really fit, this doesn't make sense, so we just didn't do something. I didn't have an event occur, but then I switched it over into a different event that seemed to fit more on theme. And then while I was at the gym like Friday, no, we weren't back. When I was at the gym on Sunday, I was like, oh shit, that means that this kind of like, so like I treat it like a job and I do these things and I have a lot of time, but then I also am like constantly thinking about it. So like in the shower, like yesterday, I had another oh shit moment from the oh shit moment I had on Sunday at the gym, and it's like, okay, now that we're doing this and this and this, and those go into notes, and they go into like I have a notebook where I keep everything like in line, and then I'll scratch out things or make adjustments or rewrite some things. But for the most part, like it's a job in my brain. So then when it comes to doing a podcast, I also just have to think of it as a job so that it's important to my brain, so that I don't sit down on a Wednesday and go, I'm going to order Chipotle and play Hollow Knight for 6 hours. Oops, I forgot. We were supposed to do something.
Whoops.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm going to get in the habit of treating this as seriously as I can. Yeah. But you had a theme. You had a question.
Yeah.
You had a concern.
Okay. So backstory. One of our members, and I'm not going to say last names, but obviously Josh. Josh and I don't know if he told you when he picked you up.
He said you're his boyfriend now. That's what he said. He texted Troy and I, Murph is my boyfriend now, and a picture of him with his lustrous locks and him smoking a cigar.
Yeah. So it's weird saying.
I was getting major leather daddy vibes. That's all I'm gonna say.
I've tried to make a conscious effort to try to hang out with Josh more outside of the campaign group, just you know, to get to know him better and to be friends with him. You know, so while my fiance was gone, I had the house that they stay in because they were at a wedding in New York. I had the house to myself, so it was like, Josh, why don't you come over? We've got a place to actually smoke. That's not just like a big field next to my apartment. Like, why don't we like have a drink and stuff? And we went to Dirty Buffalo, and then we had a smoke and stuff. And as we were hanging out, we talked. I like to feel out. Like when I talk to Troy, I ask him too. I'm like, what do you think of the campaign so far? Like, what are things that you would do differently? Like, I'm trying to learn from people's perspectives. And he was like, yeah, this is what I like. These are things that like I find different. Like we talked about the incident with Titus with the whole jail thing. Yeah. Like we went through this whole thing and we were talking about like what we appreciate that you do for us, because we don't take it for granted, even though it probably looks like we do. And our statement was, one of the things that we enjoy and one of the balances that you give us is that when we do have a harebrained idea and we want to pursue it and we actually put more than about 8 seconds worth of thought into it, you have been gracious enough to allow us to pursue that to an extent. And then if it doesn't make sense, then you find a way to be like, hey, this doesn't make sense, without being like, hey, dumbass, please unfuck yourself and sit back down.
It's the invisible wall at High Rothgar.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a little bit more subtle. It's like, what's going on? I'm moving my legs.
Just past Winterhold, where it's like moving into the next province.
I'm like holding your character in my hand by like the collar, by the scruff of their neck. I'm just holding them while they're trying to walk off the cliff.
I can't. So we were talking about things like that, and it was just like we appreciate being able to pursue, and how we didn't expect certain things to play out like they did, to be more longevity. Like there's been certain things that we have pursued that became more part of the campaign than we were expecting, like Dark Barrow. Like we did not expect Dark Barrow to have like an upgrade system, because Josh was really just like, I thought he was going to give me a place, I'd fix it, and then it would kind of just be like a place I can say I went to. But now it's like actually becoming like a hub for things, and like there's part of it. So we appreciate that. And one of the conversation we came to is like, well, how long do you think this campaign's going to go on for? Because it, like, there's these moments where we do these huge, big story-driven moments, and then there's like real life things in between these moments, and we're like, well, how long do you think? I'm gonna refer to those as filler, but they're not really filler because it's character development. But it's like, what do we think the filler to character to actual plot like ratio would be, and how long do we think the campaign? And that brought us up on the conversation of like, well, what do you think eventually, like, John's just gonna burn out and be done? Like, do you think one day he's just gonna be like, hey guys, this is it, last session, like, I'm just, we've been doing this for 3 years. It doesn't feel like the campaign's really serving a purpose anymore, other than for a reason to hang out. Like, we either need to do a different campaign, or we need to start different characters. We need to do something. Like, how long can we keep these going? So today's subject specifically is brought on by that, and I tried to explain it as best I could via text message. It's burnout, both as a DM and as a player. And how do you get to that point, and how do you avoid it? And then how, once you've reached it, do you get out of it?
Murph, shh. We have 4 viewers right now.
Oh, damn.
Murph,
why do you have to point it out? Now it's not going to matter.
Now it matters. I'm just letting you know we have to watch what we say now, because people are actually watching us.
It looks like you were about to cry.
I was like, Murph, hold up. No, my seasonal allergies have been off the fucking chart since I got back from Denver. Funny, they didn't have anything happening in Denver, but as soon as I got landed, everything went.
Allergy capital of the U.S. We have more pollen types than any other state.
Man, I wish we could be known for something cooler.
Yeah, like
yes, yeah. So a few answers. First, I'm gonna go get my notebook. I'll be right back. So just pause real quick. I'm gonna go
answer.
I'm gonna go get my notebook. Well, because I don't want to talk on my ass. I'll be right back. Shut up. I'll be right back.
Yep. Oh god, look at that! All that cool shit he has, and I just have these swirls. It kind of looks like a PSP background. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but yeah, that's a lot. Why is this all crooked? There we go.
Damn it, I said something and then 2 people left.
I don't know why. You do that every time. We'll have like 8 people and you're like, oh my god. And
there's people. They all leave. I need to self-sabotage. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. No, so specifically, in terms of like just like doing interesting things, literally, sorry, let me move my mic so I can talk.
Excuse me.
Literally, I just make notes constantly throughout every session of like what y'all seem to be interested in. Like
violence.
Let's see, where's my notes at about interests? I have a page for each of your characters in here.
I'm so sorry.
That has no, you're fine. It has like your like a little couple lines about your backstory, a couple of like relationships that you're developing, as well as like some points of like intrigue that you seem to be following at any given moment, as well as some backstory on your like actual things that we've talked about in the campaign. But where the fuck did I put my memories? 7 Mysteries campaign arcs. You know what? I fuck myself?
That
I
is
might
a thing
have.
people do.
Like I just as a given thing. Where is it?
I gotta wake up.
Oh, I'm literally on the page. Like I wrote down. Don't forget Nicodemus's study stone. Like, because just you had done that, and I was like, let me keep track of this so I don't forget. And then the other one was, don't forget the list. Just like, don't forget the list, because that's a thing that Murph did. So I'm gonna need to come back to that. Another one was obsidian blindness, because that was an illness we had discussed in the quiet year that had occurred, and I was like, I need something to happen with that. The iridescent fever that we're dealing with right now was also something from the quiet year.
From the campaign.
So I look back at my notes constantly to see like what I can pull from what we discussed, and then I also flag things that you find interesting. Like I remember, like we joke, but your first like little bits as a backstory were, I'm a sailor, I've always lived on the sea, da 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 da. So I was like literally like, how can I get this man a boat? And it makes sense for a completely landlocked stone mountain city that really only has one river and doesn't rely on water trade at all. How can I get him a boat? Because that would be cool, because he seems interested in that. And then you were like, also cartography. I'm like, I'm interested in surveying and shit. And I was like, okay, how do I follow this trail? Okay, I've already got like basically a department of whatever in the city that handles all jobs. I'll just make a little office that has a cartography office with this very old hobgoblin talks
that I've somehow befriended
very slowly. But it's just like, I just like little things, like I'll see you guys mention, or I'll mention something and I'll just see a little like gear start churning, and I'm like, okay. Like I gave Josh an estate called Dark Barrow, and he seemed really interested in it, and he seemed to like want to fix it up, and I was like, well, what does any video game with a base do? It doesn't just let you fix it and then it's done. No, it lets you like upgrade, and it lets you get bonuses and shit. So I'm like, if you want to put in the time and you want to put in the money, I'll let you upgrade this thing and get benefits from it. And you know, you sleep in it now that you've built a garden, you get a point of inspiration, or you know, you build a library, so now you get advantage on research checks for certain subjects. Like it's cool. And also, if you don't want to deal with it, fine. You don't have to. Like, it's there. Or like with like specifically Titus, the artificer. He's a Firbolg artificer. He like, this is actually a good point. He had in his backstory of becoming an artificer basically an automaton that he had discovered that sparked his interest, and then that automaton worked for his family's farm and shit like that. And at some point he made the subclass decision to be a what's the specific term, artillerist. He wanted to be an artillerist subclass of artificer, because you get a little turret. You get a little turret buddy that follows you around and can either heal or flame or force. Basically, you get a ballista, a flamethrower, or the one that gives you. Well, it doesn't heal. It gives you temporary hit points, so it doesn't heal.
But still, it's better than nothing.
True. But so then halfway through one session, I was like, he wanted upgrades for his automaton, and I was like, okay, I think I can do that. And then like 2 sessions ago, I realized, hey, there's a whole subclass in Artificer where you get an automaton. It's called the Battlesmith, and the automaton's called a Steel Defender. And there's already like a bunch of upgrades that people have made for it online. Do you just want to do this instead? Because then you could actually use him in combat. Because I'm not going to let you use a catapult or 2 catapults,
and that guy,
and also your golem, basically. So I was like, you seem more interested in Sidolphus, your automaton, becoming an ally and someone you can use. Here's this whole game mechanic. Why don't we just shift your whole subclass over? And we made it make sense, and we tied it into his backstory, like his family's spirits when they died on his farm inhabited Sidolphus and all this other stuff. So
I
like,
didn't
it's
know that part. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, so again, this was like on the one-on-one I was having with him at the table while you guys were there, but it wasn't involving you. So I was like, y'all can pay attention or not. It's not going to. And that's the thing I don't get worried about, because if I'm dealing one-on-one with a player at the table with other people, if you want to pay attention, cool. You'll pick up on things, you'll notice things, it'll be interesting. But at the same time, if you're not interested in that, it's not your story. Like, I'm working with Titus on his story, and I'm working with the Nightshade Company on their story. I'm working with Irben on his story and Airmill on his story, and then as a group, you each have a story. The point is not that you need to pay attention to every single detail, but it's there if you want to. Same with like any mechanic. Like, I could have given you this boat, and you'd been like, okay, cool, I'm gonna leave the boat and go back to my apartment. Great, okay, great. The boat's there if you want it, but if you don't, then that's fine. You don't have to do anything.
But like a weirdo, immediately started sleeping.
Immediately start sleeping on, because that's what you were interested in doing. Your character and you, Murph, the person, were interested in this boat and what you could do with it. And now you've developed like a whole. You want a whole trading company out of it. And I'm like, all right, now I got to figure out how to deal with like economics and mercantilism and all this other shit. Not that I don't want to.
Josh, I was like, yo, he's let me get away with so much. And Josh was like, what do you mean? And I was like, this man just let me go off on this whole bit.
Because literally, I would be Hitler if I told you couldn't, because the entire campaign I've been saying, hey guys, you can do anything you want. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And Murph, your character, Earman, goes, I want to make a fucking trading company. How mean would I be if I said, actually, no, that's too much. I don't want to deal with that. Like, come on, it's cool.
But like, that was part of the conversation we had, was like, I wonder what the extent of what you're going to let us do with that is. Because I was like, what if I just showed up to the next campaign and he's like, okay, the crew's ready, you've paid for everything, it's ready to go. Okay, I'm just getting on the fucking boat and I'm leaving.
That's fine. We'll focus
one campaign with me and then another campaign.
It's not as difficult as you think.
Bring your uncle in and be like, no, you can't go on the fucking boat.
No, I am 100% okay, because like literally we had this happen with Titus, where he made a decision that didn't make sense in my mind for his character, and I was like freaking out because I was literally upset at the player character. I was upset at them for making this terrible decision, I thought, and I was like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you doing this selfish, terrible thing?
Is probably the most infamous thing that's happened at our
and I realized, you know what? It doesn't really matter. They made a decision. There are going to be in-game consequences. I'm not going to get butthurt about this because it's a fucking game. Also, let me check myself, because maybe they did this random ass thing that doesn't line up with their character's values because they were bored and they wanted something to happen. Like that's literally what I had to think of, was like that entire session was mostly talking. It was mostly investigating. It was mostly like doing random things. And I had given him, hey, you need this list of ingredients to upgrade, because this is before his subclass change. You need this list of ingredients to upgrade Sid. And one of them was like a highly volatile, highly regulated substance. And I was like, come up with a reason to have it. And he was like, nah, I'm gonna steal it. And I was like, what? And then he rolled one on like 2 different checks. I was like,
very, very bad check.
I'm sorry, like that's just, it is what it is.
Surprise.
But at that point I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm focusing more on the player's interest than my own, because like I have a story, right? Like you talked about like longevity and where the story's gonna end. I have a definitive and a definite end for this campaign. Like there is a goal that is happening. There is a thing that is happening in the background. I mean, I'm sure you guys, I mean, at this point we're in our 3rd arc of the campaign. You guys are kind of picking up on like the themes and what's going on and different circumstances. And like I've created basically different, not only do you have a class and a race, but I've created like homebrew, I don't even know, archetypes for your characters. So like you get extra stuff on top of everything because of where you're at in the world.
And the fact that I died.
Yeah, and the fact that you died, and that kind of like proved what's up. And then, I also need to... Hold on, I'm realizing I have to change Titus's.
Because each one of us was given a single homebrew special ability based off of specific things. For context for anyone else.
Yeah.
Specific life events happened in the 2nd arc that were big. Like major shit went down in the 2nd arc that was probably like the pinnacle of what... It also was like very coercive to like getting us to work better together, because like combat wise went so much smoother. But my character Irben died, like physically died. Like there was, like I was fucked beyond fucked. But
well, and the group has
tie in.
Not necessarily the group, but Titus has consistently joked on me and said that I pull my punches and that I won't kill anyone. And then I was like, it's funny because I had specifically written Irben's archetype as this Aegis, saying, you know, every level he gets 1 charge of this ability where he can come back from the dead at full HP. only once though, and it does not stack. So you use it at 8th level, at 9th level you get 1 stack. If you don't use it at 9th level, at 10th level, you still only have 1 stack. Like it's a one-off. And then Irben died, of course, rushing into this fight against a horned devil.
Yeah, sucked.
And we had this like somber moment, like Murph was in the afterlife and everything, and then I was like, and you're back. And Titus looked at me and went, I told you, you're not going to let us die. I was like, no, you don't understand. If it had happened to literally everyone else, like it would have been the end. And I would have had to say, all right, we're going to roll a new character. We're going to figure this shit out. So it's funny how things work out and how like, and it's funny because I'll constantly get from him, I want to fight more. I want to fight more. And then the minute I do, he just uses hidden step and goes invisible. And I'm like, what do you mean?
So it is it's want to fight more. It's me fighting.
But that's shifted now because with his subclass shift, he's now more of a defensive, offensive person.
Sid.
Yeah,
I love Sid because Sid, especially with the defense, that means I'm not on the front line by myself anymore. And it means that I can actually do more.
And it made more sense for party cohesion because, like at the beginning, I think you had asked, if we create a group with no healers, are you gonna like what are you gonna do? And I was like, we'll just figure it out. You'll have a bunch of healing potions. It'll be fine. But now, like it's the campaign has worked to a point where now you like the battlesmith is not technically a healer, but they have defensive and healing spells like aura vitality, shit like that. So it's things to have a way of working themselves. They tend to work themselves out.
It has been, and just general understanding of the game too has made things easier. But like, it has been so much more fun on this arc than before, and not because I don't think that like things aren't exciting and cool and stuff, but it's just like we're finally at a point where like I feel like our characters are able to do something like when we want to do something, and I don't mean in like the outside, but when in a fight, I'm like I want to hit that guy a lot. Yeah, I don't have to be like, well, I have to wait 7 turns to hit him because I like just don't have like our stats are finally high enough that like if I want to, I can cut people in half. Just it's so satisfying to finally roll well and be like, this is gonna be violent, and it does. Like when you can kill 2 people at a time. And or with catching the Orman and being able to get the fuck down.
You were like, nope. I was so we had a cool moment. I like telling stories and I like getting an emotional payout out of them. That's what's in it for me as a DM. Is I enjoy seeing genuine emotion from people invested in a collaborative storytelling experience. Like that just makes my days. Like, oh my god, I told a story so compelling in a mind space that these people are upset or happy or sad or laughing. Like I love that. I love that genuine emotion or compelling emotion. And there was like I had you had a specific number to beat to knock it, because this Orman was like gonna get the hell out of Dodge. He had information you needed, etc., and you literally like I wrote the number down, I put it in an envelope, I said, okay, this is the number, you have to beat it. Like I'm not because I feel like sometimes I don't know if you noticed, but I moved my dice box out from behind the screen because I feel like sometimes the way things work out can seem fortuitous, like or fake fortuitous, because fortuitous doesn't mean what most people think it does. It can seem like I'm loading things, like I want the story to progress, so I'm like, he rolled a 2 instead of a 20. Ooh. So I was like, you know what? I want people to see how funny it is and how fortuitous things occur, because it's like completely random. So like I moved the dice box so y'all can actually see it. And I was like, you know what? This is a very important moment. I don't want them to think that I'm pushing the story along. I also don't want them to think that I'm being an ass. So I just wrote the HP down. I was like, you have to deal this amount of damage to stop this person from he was a Marinoloth, which is a specific type of fiend that can they're like ferrymen. It's like Karen from from Greek mythology. Yeah. They have the ability to like just teleport. He has a teleport ability. And he was just gonna pop once he got on this boat, and you literally dealt enough damage, and then you open the envelope and you're like, and it was like this cool moment where everyone's like, everyone just breathed a sigh of relief. They were like, okay, we did this thing, and everyone like I liked building that tension and then seeing the payoff, and specifically for me, to tie back into what we're talking about, that's what keeps me from burning out. Like as long as you guys are putting in the work of being good players, I don't really care. Like if you want to establish a trade empire spanning the continent and be gone like half of the month, Cool. I'll play into that. As long as we're being good stewards of each other's time and respecting each other's boundaries. Like, I want to keep playing no matter what you guys want to do.
Don't hijack the campaign. That's the whole thing.
But also, if you
not a campaign about one of us,
and that's why I did challenge Titus with, yes, okay, I'll try to make things more interesting for you. Let's change your subclass. Let's deal with this. But try to think about what your character has been through and why they would do things. And if you can justify that decision, then I have nothing to say. Then like I can't be shitty about it. Like, you literally have your character's background in your mind. Like, you make it up. So you tell me if it makes sense to make the decision. So if it makes sense for Irvin's character to be gone for the rest of the campaign, who am I to judge? Like, that's fine. I don't like, it's not gonna throw a wrench in any of my plans, because like my plans change constantly. Like, I throw a wrench in my own plans every single session we sit down, and I'm like, okay, this is changing. Why? Because I just don't like it. I don't like it anymore. I wrote this down a week ago, and a week later I'm pissed at myself for writing it because it's stupid.
I feel different.
So it's like, and like, I'll just consistently make notes like every session of like, this is a point I'd like to readdress, or like I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this next session I'm really excited for, because I'm bringing some shit out that hasn't been like addressed in a while, and there's going to be people that like I'm expecting a high level of surprise and also like consternation at this next session, because it's going to be interesting. Well, and I'm excited
every time. So this is both the beauty and the curse of this podcast, is because we get into it and I get these little, like, you don't give me enough nuggets of information to be like, oh, spoiler, but like, you do drop things on me, and because we were all there for the quiet year, and I've seen you subtly starting to bring shit back up.
Yeah,
it happens in waves.
Well, let me just like, as a spoiler that has nothing to do with anything, I've mentioned multiple times that Millicent wears dark glasses, like almost black, and the reason is because she's blind. She was afflicted with obsidian blindness, the disease that we had.
She's blind?
Yeah, she's and no one has questioned it, because she has blind sense. Like that is a feature she has as her player character. She has blind sense. She can sense. Yeah. But it's just, and it's not something that really changes anything, because she has blind sense, so she's able to basically.
She was blind.
Because you wouldn't, but like, that was the level of like, I was pulling things in and out of like our setup in the quiet year and our playthrough now, and I was like, what can I pull? Okay, great, she's gonna have this disease, but it's not gonna be like apparent, and it might be something that only I ever know about. But to me, like, that's fine, because it's cool. It's like, okay, this is like a little nugget. And I've described multiple times she wear these black glasses, these black circular glasses constantly, and you've never seen her take them off. She doesn't lower them or anything like that. And it was like, no one. I was like, that's fine. No one need, and that's why like I don't push things.
I feel stupid now, because we've definitely been like, hey, can you read this book? And she's like, yep, sure. Yeah,
well, so she has magical abilities, and she's an extremely powerful person.
We've missed over the fact, like, because again, people not paying attention. So you're like, yeah, she hands you a book, and before you can finish to say it's in Braille,
yeah,
Titus is like, I am reading
the book. No, it's fine, because like, it is what it is. I'm
reading it dots at 1000 miles per hour.
I honestly, and that's what keeps, like, again, adds to longevity. Like, I like little details, emotional payout. Like, we had this is just me. Like, this is me. That we had a 2 or 3 sessions ago, we had a big event in the campaign where like, I had specific targets. I said, all right, there's a group, they're going to move against the city. It's time. Like, things have boiled to a point. These targets are going to get taken out. Like, this is the setup. Like, I had like a little timeline of literally everything that was going to occur the entire day, with all the like the characters. It was basically like a little murder mystery I had put together, and I was like, okay, these are the assailants or the perpetrators. These are the targets. These are the means of murder. This is the setting. This is the stage. Like, this is everything. And I was like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. And then like, you guys threw a wrench in the plan. You guys were like, okay, like, you rolled extremely well. Like, Octavian was supposed to die. This dwarven counselor giving the inaugural address of the city, or the yearly address of the city, was supposed to die. Like I had every amount of DM discretion applied to killing this dwarf counselor, because I was like, he's gonna die. He's marked for death in my mind. And then like, I gave you guys. I was like, but I'm not gonna like railroad anything. I'm gonna let them have perception checks. I'm gonna let them investigate. I'm gonna let them be aware. I'm like, y'all made a case that y'all would sit in the front row, so I was like, okay, yeah, y'all sit in the front row with Millicent, like one of the patrons of the city. Like, this makes sense. And also, Gertrude, the ancient turtle wizard, yeah, she can be there too, because that makes sense, because Titus is close with her. So all this shit, and then you rolled extremely well on your perception check, saw the flagstone about to be knocked off. You rolled literally like a 20-something, so you saw the shadow up there too, so you knew it wasn't just like a random happenstance. And then you rolled a 20-something to hit this flagstone as it fell, and then you rolled so much damage, because I had like a number. I was like, if somebody hits this at this number, they need to deal this amount of damage or higher to shatter the stone. And you did. And I was like...
The Hill Giant Strength Potion?
I was like, you know what? That's fine, because his glass is poisoned too. His glass is extremely poisoned, like to the point where he will die. I know. And then literally somebody was like, wait a second.
Able to like convince him to not drink it yet. And then...
Somebody was like, I want to check out his glass, and they rolled an extremely high perception. And I was like, you know what? You notice that like the legs of the glass when he's swirling the wine, they don't add up. Like you're just like, there are like it sits too sticky on the side of the glass. Like something's weird. It doesn't match yours. And then Aramil, the warlock, the great one, used his awakened mind and was like, stop, like spooky, intimidate you to stop. And then he stopped. And then like it was just like a whole series of events that was like, man, I had like the best laid plans to kill this character, and you guys were like, nah, you're not gonna do that. So then like the wine glass shatters, he loses a hand, and I was like, okay, that's fine, because there's not just one perpetrator, there's two. There's a whole other plan occurring while this is taking place. There's backups on backups. And y'all were like, nah, fuck that. We're going to like beat this person up. I'm going to tackle him off the side of a tower, fall, 400 feet, but be fine because I rolled well. And I'm just going to make him a smear I'm going to throw him as I'm falling against the castle so that he just evaporates into a green mist, which was fine. Because then somebody else had they had an arbalest. They were like, all right, I'm going to take, because technically there was another target that was not Octavian. There were two targets, and neither one of them died. And y'all did something that caused the arbalest to miss, and it hit this. So it was aimed at Millicent's house.
Was Stuart's death ever in the cards?
No,
to you,
I mean,
or was that just a thing
it was not.
To do
it was not in the anyone is fair game at any point, obviously. But he was in the spot, and Titus rolled poorly. So that was who was going to get hit by this like tree trunk of a bolt, and the damage was insane. So like the arbalest was pointed at Millicent's house. The steward, which it took everyone like so many sessions to realize that was a play on words. Like Aramil was like, oh, I get it now. After this character had died, like, oh, he's a steward and his name is Stuart. Great. This is a little gnomish guy. He's a deep gnome that was like Millicent's like right hand man, like major domo, stuff like that.
Assisted in a lot of things.
Yeah, and it was really cool. And it actually like I didn't think you guys cared. Like Stuart to me was not someone y'all associated with that much. It was not something y'all really cared about all that much.
Okay, so to your credit, and if you'll give me a second, I want to brag on you a little bit. There was a lot of, okay, so I told you in the beginning, and it's something even on this podcast forever ago when we were talking pre-game, like quiet year time, building our characters. Because right after it, I sent you my backstory. We went through this whole thing. I told you the narrative of the story is the part that drives me the most. It's not the action. It's not the gameplay. It's finding out the completion of the story, that satisfying end.
Yeah.
You weaved the fuck out of that so well. And you should be proud of it. Because starting with the jail incident, derailed everything. Like everybody at the table was tense. We didn't know what the fuck was going on. It felt like that was going to potentially be the end of the campaign because it just felt like it might be like such a cataclysmic problem between player base, not characters.
Yeah.
And you worked it out. You figured it out. And then you made that moment between Millicent and Titus.
Yeah, which I actually really appreciated because I was like, now it makes like
there was such an emotional payoff for Titus.
I know. I was like,
he was the most distant to any of the characters,
and that's why
now he has that. And when he was there, when Stuart dies,
and
Titus is now like, not only was I an asshole teenager to Millicent, and basically had to throw her name in the fire for this. Her essential best friend just died saving me.
Yeah.
I'm a double whammy of failure.
Yeah.
And he's a different player now.
Yeah.
Like his whole character he drowned a woman in anger.
I know, like, and that's like why I had to realize, you know what, it didn't really matter that I was upset about this decision that Titus's character made, or player character made. I was like, you know what, because I will have to find some way to use this, and I did. Like, literally that session found a way to use it and have an emotional payoff where I was like, all right,
so fun.
But
it was such a cool moment.
But it was all roll. Like, I wasn't like, all right, Stewart has to die now. No, it was literally, all right, Stewart had been tasked with keeping Millicent safe and the three of you safe at all costs. And he was tasked with keeping the three of you safe ahead of Millicent. She had specifically told him, if it comes down to one of them or me, you save them, not me. And he was standing next to Titus. Titus goes to the window, rolls poorly on his perception, rolls really badly on his perception, and this does not see this tree trunk of an arbalest bolt coming flying through the city right through the window. But Stewart does, pushes this guy out of the way because he's strong as a motherfucker for a deep gnome, and just takes the whole thing like right in his body and just dies like right there. And I was like, damn it, some random NPC. And then y'all were like so shook. Y'all were like, because not Stewart, no,
failed.
And I was like, I was like, because, you know what? Okay, this is so good.
It's hard to explain because like now you might get it more, but like at the time, especially on like my end, I was like, we've done so well to stop everything. Like, we've really become, in that moment, the same people we were when we fought the Hunger Demon.
Yeah.
Like people were like, hey, these guys are like, they're good at what they do. And like, between me and Airmail and Titus's roles when we were at the amphitheater, I climbed a fucking thing. Airmail's lady was with me. Like, Airmail was kicking at. Like, we were on it. Like, we really all had a purpose, and we were fulfilling the purpose. And we were getting these wins, like, back to back, like these cool big moments. And then to know that the accumulation of all of your perfect wins and all of your perfect moments is you failed because someone still dies. It's such a real life thing, and it hurts now to know that no matter what you do, life is going to happen in spite of your victories. And that's why I'm bragging on you.
Well, and that's
because whether it was on purpose or not, it felt real. And that's the thing, because there's no fairy tale ending to it. It's hey man, like, congratulations, you have a beautiful baby boy, but your wife died in childbirth. And it's like everything that we fought for, everything that we went for this moment, and this is what the payoff was. And to know that mortality exists for the characters, no matter how good you do, it's a humbling moment for a player.
Well, and I'll be honest,
but it shows that there's consequences, and that's cool.
I'll be honest, like, I got a little bit annoyed at how often certain people were saying I was pulling my punches. And you know what? I was like, you know what? If I can't kill you, I'm going to kill someone's close.
Gonna die.
There's going to be reasons for, like, and I didn't railroad, I didn't shoehorn all this shit in, but I was like, you know what? I need them to know that there are stakes. Like, I need these player characters and also, real life people to know that this is not some campaign where only the bad guys die and the good guys, they have a harrowing moment, but they survive and they're better for it. No, like, there needs to be like high stakes consequences to actions. And if it's, some minor character dies or it's the whole fucking city blows up, there needs to be a consequence, because otherwise it can get to a point where you're playing with like a trainer on, like you're playing Dark Souls with a trainer enabled, and you're like, I'm smacking you and you're not doing anything. Yeah.
Easy mode on Breath of the Wild.
And it's like, and that's the kind of campaign that some people like, and I get it, but it didn't feel like y'all were that interested in it, because like the first whole arc was basically easy mode. Like, we didn't have a lot of stakes. There was not a lot of bad things. Y'all had like zero relationships built up with anyone. So like, even if I had killed someone, it would have been like, all right, that's someone I can't try to bribe or, have a romantic relationship with later, I guess. I don't know who they were. So it's like, we're at a point now where, like, you guys are seeing the payoff of developing these relationships. Like, okay, now that I know this person that much better, I can rely on them for this, or I can ask them for things, or I can, like, but then also, if they die, it's like, damn, that was like, I had an image of Stewart in my mind, like what he looked like and who he was as a deep gnome and what he did day to day. And now he has a tree trunk driven through his chest and is coughing up blood and his intestines are all over the floor. And the Fearbolg artificer, who was being kind of an arrogant dick earlier, is now like sobbing on the floor uncontrollably, holding his lifeless corpse.
From a character that was introverted to a fault. Like Titus, for context, was not. He was a hermit. He, like, outside of his parents, like, he had no real outside interaction other than with the mysterious merchant guy and his fucking Warforged thing. So, like, that's it. So, like, him meeting was, like, awkward as shit, meeting Aramel. And then, like, he just kind of was with our group by association. For context, none of us knew each other before the campaign.
Yeah.
Not both kind of almost as players, but also as characters. Like, there's no backstory to them knowing each other.
In terms of both personal relationships and PC relationships, I think we've definitely seen a cohesion. And I think that specifically, one thing I want to try, and one thing that I've read a lot about and I've seen a lot of people do, is I want to get away from that if we ever do this again, because I think that a lot can be said for just throwing people in and assuming they know each other. Because, like, I've always done you encounter each other on a road or you see each other in a tavern. But I honestly think that you can build more cohesion by just saying, all right, you're in the middle of a fight with an owlbear. What does your character do? And there's also these three people that you know and have this already established relationship with. What is that? And that's why, like, just to get off on a tangent for a little bit, Monster of the Week does this incredibly well, because on the character sheet, it says you have a relationship with the hunter on your left and the hunter on your right. Pick one of these options. So, like, if you're the professional, like the CIA agent, it's I was tasked with tracking them down, but for whatever reason I chose not to turn them in. Or if you're like the cultist, it's like this person was the subject of one of the rituals, but we decided that they were better left alive. Like, it presupposes a relationship so that you can just play the fucking game. Because I feel like a lot of time is lost in the beginning of a campaign going, what? Who are you? Why do I like you? Why am I literally now spending every minute of my life with you? Like, I have to have that reason in my head, as opposed to just going, all right, you're caged up by goblins, and your party member is on the way to save you. You look to your left, and there's your other party member. What are you guys doing? Like, the goblins are going to burn and eat you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I've watched, and admittedly, I've tried to get more into the media of it. I watched a guy do a one-shot campaign where everyone played warriors, but it was more of like because they were part of a standing army. So it was like there was like a battle mage and then two regular warrior classes. And the opening to their campaign was you're one of 500 men or women, and there are 30 of you left, and you are surrounded. What do you do? Yeah. And that's the intro. Like, there was no question of how do you know each other, because it didn't matter if you knew each other. You're in the same garrison.
Yeah.
Like, so you understand who each other is, and it's like the campaign begins based off of the idea of where do you go from this point, and that's it. Like, you already know how to fight, you already have everything established. Now, granted, they had played before, but it's interesting to just be like, there's no like, you enter town, and no, it's like you're already in the middle of the shit. What are you doing? And
I will say, like just to kind of get back on the topic before I took that tangent, in terms of longevity, like, for players, I just like seeing what you guys are interested in and pursuing it. Like, it boils down to that simple, like, facet. Like, if I catch you guys interested in something, I'm like, haha, I'm gonna bring that back. I see. Like, I have specific notes for this arc of just like people I want to explore with you guys. Like, okay, what is Aramel's relationship with Ulfgar, the Duragar that he found in the prison? What is Ben's relationship with Valera, which I think we've explored a little bit more, you know? Just like, let's put these people in positions and see how they react, because that seems to be the interest. And then if there's friction, if there's chemistry, we pursue that, you know? And that's ultimately the goal, is to get you guys more and more invested in the story so that there is more buy-in, because it's essentially like, you know, getting someone, not to break it down into the job stereotype again, but I'm basically trying to get you guys to buy into my company. Like, I'm like, hey, come invest all of this time and mental output into this company I've created. It's called Dungeons and Dragons, the arc of which, or the name of, I forgot what the name of the End of All Things is the name of the campaign that I picked.
I've never once heard that spoken out loud.
It's called The End of All Things. Come join with me. Invest, 6 hours a week into The End of All Things with me, please, because I can't start this company without you. Like, I can't play D&D by myself. That's just reading a book or writing a book. So I think that it's on me to create that longevity with you. It's on me to create that buy-in, because otherwise I'm going to be on my own, and I don't like that. So I have to look for things consistently throughout the campaign that pique your interest, that go, let's explore. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Like, sometimes I'll be like, what? Like I like to not to rag on anyone or be rude, but Titus, I had something for his character to pick up on and he didn't want it. Like I specifically said, Sidolphus arrives, he says your farm's destroyed and he wants you to go back with him. And he was like, no, I'm too busy doing this. And I was like,
all right, well, there's
okay,
backstory.
cool.
The whole farm
No. Well, it's like he's just not interested in going back, and that's fine because it's a part of his past and he knows about it. But like I had a little blurb about like, hey, if he goes back to his farm, he notices this and this and these are the like. But he's not interested. So I'm like, okay, great, cool. We'll focus on something else. Let's focus on the tree house you just bought. Like you bought a house in the Leaf District that rides the whole length of this, basically Sequoia Yosemite tree. And it's like, let's focus on, let's see if you're interested in that. Like, and it's a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall sometimes and just seeing what sticks, like, let's see if they're interested in this. Let's see if they're interested in that. Like specifically with Josh's character, Aramil, I am very, very obviously trying to get him to leave his warlock patron for another one. Like I've thrown, I think, 3 other patrons now at him, trying to make deals with him. First was the Rakshasa, who wanted to make a deal with him for a really powerful spell book, or to give him some of his infernal power. The other one was the
Rakshasa. That's the guy we met in the weird sundial tower thing.
No, the Rakshasa was the book merchant. The book merchant wanted to make a deal to give him some fiendish power, and then with the fathomless father. Oh, Murph's screen is breaking. No, you're fine. The Fathomless Father, the juvenile Kraken you guys fought, was an embodiment of the Fathomless, which is a warlock patron. And I was like, so I'm like not so subtly, literally constantly trying to get Aramil to just
on him called like an account from someone that broke
exactly because like I want him to know the consequences, but it doesn't mean I'm not gonna like tempt him and be like, hey, are you interested? Like, can I get you interested in this? So it can play literally into the campaign.
Vare is very interesting. I will state that because he doesn't know anything about Vare other than his grandfather had a connection to it.
Well, he gives him power. He gives him juice, right? But and he doesn't know what's gonna happen if that changes.
But Vare has never been useful.
Yeah.
He's never outwardly been like, go left when we needed something.
Yeah.
Or like, look at, it's always been, well, you already have my power. What more do you want from me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been interesting to see how loyal Josh has been to Vare, even though there's never been like an outward, like you've only praised him as Vare like twice.
Yeah.
It's like a weird,
but it's and that it can be overt like that. Like, hey, are you interested in this? Like, do you want to buy some death sticks? Like, that level of intrigue. Or it can be more like, hey, I noticed that your character for whatever reason is really interested in buying potions and having potions. So I'm gonna make sure that the apothecary randomly has cool potions for you guys to focus on. Like you guys really, hey,
rope and
your character seems really interested in like the mechanics of combat and all that shit. So let me build that up for you. Like I just it takes attention, but it's worth it because it keeps you guys interested. We can have those big campaign spanning arcs of like this demon and this seal and this prime evil and all this stuff, but then like in the in-between it's like, how do I keep you guys doing things? I give you little nuggets. I give you, hey, you're building a trading company, or hey, you've bought a treehouse, or hey, you have a whole estate to upgrade, or a whole patron to research, or you can work on your blacksmithing, or you can work on your cartography. Like all these different little bits and blobs come together and form basically a life for your character.
Organization we have to figure
out. Or you have
forms
you have a whole underground group of people, like an information network. How do you utilize that? You've come up now basically against a terrorist organization. How do you work around that? Like, and this arc specifically, I will say, is a lot more subtle. Like, I've not been overt, like, oh my god, you have to go to this place to solve this problem because I saw a vision about it, and it's there. Go do it, and that's the demon, and you killed it. Great. This arc has been a lot more subtle, but it's because you guys have wanted to do more life things, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to make it as big and obvious.
At one point that you had hoped that we would allow you to take the training wheels off in terms of what daily life in the city would be.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of like, okay, guys, you've been to the same store 3 times in this one session.
And that's why I remember specifically Titus was like, can I just walk around the city? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, what do I see? I'm like, roll investigation. Let's see if you see something cool. And it's like, he rolled well, found some cool things. He rolled poorly, didn't find much. Like it's just interesting.
The enchanting tree has been my favorite place so far because it's the only thing that's given me anything that's not gotten my ass kicked.
Yeah, and
I'm excited to see what you come up with for this upcoming session because I'm shieldless and I'm very scared.
That's true. That's true.
Second to this, I do have a question for you that no one's going to understand, but I will, and I want it out there in the universe.
Okay.
Was Abbas Cho supposed to die? Was that the intention?
So for some background, there is a cleric named Abbas Cho who was an Azamar. I feel like I never pronounced that right. That the angelic race, who basically was corrupted by a demon in disguise. Like this demon took on the form of an angel, like a bringer of life and mercy, but in fact was actually a demon of death. Not to put too fine a point, because I mean it's kind of overstated. But basically, he came to her because all the gods are gone in this universe. So this Abbas was using like reserves of vestigial power, or feeding off of newer, lesser gods that had been attached to this plane as it travels through the astral sea. And so this demon had stepped out and said, hey, I am a new god. I have been born. Like, give me your power. Give me your adoration. Give me your sacrifices. And I will ascend and become the god you need to protect you. And essentially, that went badly for her. Not necessarily badly, but just it obviously didn't work out because this god was a demon and basically just wanted to come and kill everyone because he's a demon of death and destruction. Let's, again, kind of heavy-handed, but whatever. So she had traveled to this temple at the head of a river that was killing people, and was like, hey, I'm going to summon him, blah, 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 blah.
And they stopped them, to the quiet year with that river.
Yeah, but honestly, you guys didn't seem like you wanted to kill her, and I had no reason for her to die, so I was like, you know what? Maybe she lives. And it was a heads or tails. She was making death saving throws, and she survived. But now she has no connection to any deity. She has no clerical powers. She's a complete, just empty vessel. Like, she has no magical power. She has no spells. She has no clerical remnants left. Like, she's just a person now who is going to have to figure life out. Like, she might wish she was dead at this point. Who knows? So there's consequences of that, like, as well as her being dead, like she had a lover that was invested in her continued survival. So, if she had died, maybe there would have been some fallout with him. There's a lot of things, but I'm never, like, when I say like I wanted, like, Octavian was supposed to die, I don't mean, I never have people who have to die. Like, they're going to die no matter what you do. But at the same time,
should have been, was your intention for her to
die? I left it open-ended. I literally, on that arc, I asked the question of myself of what would happen if she lived or died. And I had consequences for each one. I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens.
Another one that genuinely, I mean, this is true to all cases, but that was a very luck of the roll kind of moment, because between being able to grapple her to the ground and restrain her, and then Aramil, like, God love him, he's either 100% accurate or 0%.
Yeah. His Eldritch Blast either really hit or they miss completely.
He's the fastest hands in the West, but his accuracy is like 50-50.
It's diminished, yeah.
Really
but yeah, so it was honestly just up to, like, I noticed y'all didn't seem particular, like, she had not done it, like, y'all both as a party and as her had not, like, antagonized each other. Not saying you couldn't have, and it didn't seem like y'all were particularly against her.
And then character-wise, like, we both technically followed the same deity because the deity was
also you guys, like, took the time to get to know her backstory and kind of understand why she was doing this. So, like, I think y'all felt more for her after that, and it was like, you know what? There's no reason for her to die. Like, let me just leave it up. Like, let's see what they do.
And I don't know why I'm lapsing on his name, but the Faceless Leader, Gerhouse and I think I read into it as a character more, but in Irvin's mind, they had kind of like a half friendship. Mm-hmm. So to know that he was going to go out and physically harm someone that he cared about was not like. But then again, at the same time, though, Erwin is the first person to, like, murder someone if he has to. So
yeah, well, and I think specifically, like, I don't know, Gerhouse's motivations are kind of shaded, but I also, like, I was just kind of paying attention to you guys. I was like, you know what? Let's see how they seem to fall. Like, it doesn't seem like they're particularly aggressive. It doesn't seem like they're angry at her for, all this shit. And so maybe
Honestly, I had a tougher time with the tree ant than
I was like, maybe this doesn't matter. Maybe it can literally just be and you save the little
we
you regrew it. Yeah, there's some rebirth that occurred.
We spared it from the idea, but like we are also like a campaign of not wanton murder.
Yeah,
we don't just murder people for the sake of murder.
Generally,
I don't know if that's just because we're trying to avoid that stereotype or what. But like when we've killed things, but 90% of the time, if we can save something, we did. Because when it came to the plant guys, we came up with the idea of putting them in the pit to not have to kill them because we didn't know if they could be saved. And you were like, no, by the way, they're absolutely fucking dead.
Yeah, they're gone. This is not the real person. This is a plant-grown facsimile of a person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I mean, but like, yeah, it's a theme for us to try to come up with a creative solution to not murder someone if we don't have to.
Absolutely. And I think that again creates, like, all of these things add up to longevity. Like, the only time you can really experience burnout in D&D, from my experience, is when you're just not enjoying it. Like if you keep creating situations as a DM that people enjoy and that everyone can enjoy together, they're going to keep coming back to the table. And as long as the players understand that you also kind of have to contribute to that atmosphere a lot, because like I can't run D&D by myself. Like I cannot sit at a table by myself and have a good D&D experience. I need all the players to be on board and to be committed to their roles. Like, hey, okay, as uncomfortable as it is, I need you to do a character voice. This is just like something I need you to do, because otherwise it's going to get really weird when you start saying and doing things at the same time, and I don't know how to distinguish which is which, and I don't know what secrets you're revealing because you don't use a character voice. Or, hey, I really need you to remember to add your proficiency bonus to this roll, okay? Because I can't be looking over your shoulder every single time. Like it feels sometimes like it can get to a point where you feel like your mom, but if everyone's invested, it's just one of those, hey, just keep an eye on that. Like, and I'm pretty generous. Like, a lot of the shit that you guys try to do, I have to just come up with mechanics with on the fly. Like you trying to grapple every single thing in the world generally is like a difficult, because it's like sometimes it doesn't make sense, sometimes there's not a mechanic, but I'm like, you know what, I don't care. Like I literally can just create this. Like, let's just figure it out. Like, you want to throw a rope around someone and drag them to the ground mid fight and they are floating, like, okay, let's just create some checks, let's do some attack rolls, like, let's just see how the dice land and let's figure it out. Because it's, again, if you guys are interested in something, I want to pursue that, because that's going to make you have a more fun time. And it's not going to hurt me to say, yeah, absolutely, you can add a pommel, like a dagger to the end of your pommel so you can do attacks with it. Like, why would I? Okay, cool. Bonus action. Deal with it. Because also that uses up your bonus action half the time, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing if you can't use your fighting spirit. So, you know, it's a trade-off. You know, it's like as long as there's a price. You can't just give everyone everything they want at the exact time they want it, but you also can't withhold everything constantly from everyone every time they want something. You have to play that balance of, all right, you guys want a magic item shop? Okay, it's government run, like the DMV. So sometimes there's no one there, and sometimes it takes forever to do anything, but sometimes it is A-okay. Or you want a boat? Great. It does not run on its own. It is completely automated. You have to figure it out. Or you want to buy a treehouse? Okay, it's going to be a shit ton of gold. Just, I mean, like, so you have to set these like little thresholds to make the, you know, it's that like saying, like, you know, you have to, the only way you'll enjoy something is if you work for it, which in life doesn't really apply, because you can enjoy things without working for it. But, you know, if I just gave you guys a shit ton of magical items and every house and every NPC romance that you wanted, it would be like, what would be the point? It would be, like I said earlier, like playing Dark Souls with cheats enabled. Like,
I mean, at that point, you're just playing.
It's a cool story, but I can just read you the story. Like, I can just read you the book that I've written for this story.
We call it a book club,
and we're going to talk about it, because there's no point in playing. There's no point in rolling at that point. So I think that in terms of longevity and buy-in, it's just getting everyone interested and getting everyone having a fun time, because otherwise it just becomes rote.
If I can state, I think on the player side, and again, coming as the noob here, I will state that something I'm working on genuinely, but I've picked up because we're able to have conversations about it. For longevity, not burning out on your end, is you have to find interest in what the other players are doing. If you only ever care about what you are doing in relation to what the story is, you're going to be bored half the time. Yeah. There's no fun in it.
Well, and I think
the collaboration, the understanding, seeing when Tynus is doing something and it makes sense. And again, you've admitted it. We pull our phones out. We can get a little distracted. But there are genuine moments where, like, you can catch us. We're leaned forward. We're paying attention because what is happening to them.
It's interesting.
Well, it will affect you, because everything that happens to the party happens to the party as a whole. But, like, finding the little things, being interested in another person's backstory, finding out ways to use that person's backstory in your own playing is like that collaboration is how you keep the burnout from happening. The more involved and interested you are in what the greater whole, but each individual player is doing, will not only make you a better teammate because you're not having to ask constantly like, oh, I'm sorry, what are you doing again? Like, you already know. Like, you're part of it. You're involved. But secondly, it's going to make your decisions make them feel more authentic because you're more involved in the world.
Absolutely. Real quick, I want to big us up. We have a Gmail account if you'd like to email any questions. It's I'm going to read it off because it's not the same. It's what'sinthedungeon@gmail.com. It's not What's in the Dungeon podcast because that was too long, I think. It's what'sinthedungeon@gmail.com, spelled like it sounds.
Is there a question mark at the end? Or
there's no. Our Twitch, if you're watching this on YouTube, our Twitch is What's in the Dungeon ? Podcast ! And then our YouTube channel is What's in the Dungeon podcast. Hold on, I think I accidentally swapped some of the. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to change this. Our YouTube is What's in the Dungeon ! Podcast. So I fucked that up. So I'm gonna have to change our name because that is not the correct pronunciation.
That's possible to change it, so that's fine.
Yeah, that is an easy fix.
We're still uploading prior episodes, right? Like this one will go.
Yeah, yeah. So we usually upload next day. So like if you miss us on Twitch, you can obviously always catch us on YouTube. The YouTubes. It's very easy. Like right now, I'm gonna change our name just because I'm thinking of it. What's in the Dungeon ? Podcast ! Publish. Refresh. Okay. It might take a minute. Cool.
While he is
sorry. Okay, it's done. I see it now. I'm also gonna try to get a little bit more active on the tweeters, I guess, because we do have a Twitter account.
I'm just gonna hand that to you because the
only
thing
okay.
I go in there is like, and then I get off.
That's okay. Maybe get off on your own time though. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
If you would like, please tell your friends and family about us. I would like us to get affiliate in the next month or so. That would be cool.
Jeez, that'd be hardcore.
It would be hardcore.
Way more.
How many do we need? Like 20?
So you need 100 followers. You also need to stream for 7 unique days. So there's 2 Wednesdays a month that we're streaming. We'll never make affiliate with that stream schedule.
All right. Well, we'll have to put in the hours then. If we can get to 20 followers, that'll be we have 4 followers right now. So please
we have 10 followers. Oh, are you talking about on Twitter or are you talking about on Twitch?
I'm talking about on Twitch. We have
Twitch, we have 10.
Really?
We had 4 viewers. We had 10 followers.
Oh, I'm stupid. We do have 10 followers. So thank you everyone who follows us. But do better, okay? Like tell your friends. This is a pyramid scheme, okay?
We need to get better.
But only we get the money.
Content.
Yeah, we have to get better content. So we're gonna be Murph, like he said, who's got some artwork. I'm gonna be hopefully doing some funny Twitters.
Even if we're just posting D&D memes.
Yeah, that's fine too. We're gonna have more.
I think we should get Josh or Troy on the podcast one day, just to get their perspective of like what they think
would be interesting,
and like just to get the perspective. At some point, I would like at the end of all things, for you to sit down and synopsis the whole thing.
Oh, that's why I keep notes. Also, is because it's
like,
nice.
To you to be able to come on the podcast and like that's the whole episode. Is you're like, this is the story of this group, and then you're done. That once it's over, it's over. We'll put music on it. I'll do a whole thing.
Be interesting.
Like if you want to voice act it, I will mix master.
Hi, I'm Eben. I'm a big, strong sailor man.
I'm a God, I hope that's not my
your range cut you off. I think you set your mic range at a certain decibel amount, and it cut you off, so no one heard that.
That was a terrible.
But yeah, so let people know about us. I would like to eventually become a multimedia empire, and it starts with 2 heads on a screen. So let your friends know.
I think this might be a PS3 background.
It kind of looks like it. Mine is definitely a real background that I have constructed deliberately.
Not on Photoshop.
You can also, we have a Discord if you'd like to join it.
Yeah.
While we chat, I have no problem answering questions.
Anyone Discord link is not on our Twitch.
Is it not? I'll have to add that.
There's no Discord link.
Okay, I will add that this week.
Type that in.
Go type it in. What's in the Dungeon podcast? Also, if you're ever watching us on Twitch, you can always ask questions there. No problemo. We are good taking questions on Gmail, Twitter, Twitch, Discord. Let us
in the middle
know.
of the fucking
And if
thing,
I can't answer the question about D&D, I will bullshit so good you'll think it's real. I promise. That is all D&D is just bullshitting. But yeah, I appreciate everyone. I will choose a theme for either next week or the week after. Or even a central question to have. I think that this has been a good, productive episode. We've really covered our topic very well. And
actually, we did pretty.
Not to jerk ourselves off, Murph, but I think that we've turned a corner. I think that this is the beginning of a new day for What's in the Dungeon podcast. You have to say it with that inflection. But yeah, any final housekeeping notes or questions, comments, concerns?
No, there's gonna be some changes. Hopefully, we're gonna try to up production. We're gonna get his shit working. We're gonna get my shit more consistent. Did we decide on longer episodes since we're doing 2 weeks, or are we still doing an hour?
I am good with however long we run to cover the topic.
Okay, so we're not gonna set a time limit.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I think we talk until we feel like we've covered the topic.
I'm gonna try to take better notes when it's a topic that I come up with. I'm gonna make that promise to you. And then maybe we'll just you already have a lot on your plate. I'll do my best to take the podcast notes if that makes you feel any better, and then I'll plot some stuff out since I have 2 weeks and no excuse. So if there's we'll talk about it, and you can be like, I'd like to cover these topic points, and then I'll put them on the Discord as a thing, and we can look at it.
Real quick though, as a side question, because I know we did this, but what are you playing currently, video game wise?
What am I playing currently?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I talk about every fucking time, just like Martinet voices Parthenax.
Are you playing Dragon Age?
No, I'm playing ESO because my brother got into
it. Oh yeah, that's right.
So I'm actually going to leave here and go play ESO. I
think you can just. I don't think you need to leave. Don't leave your house.
Off this computer to go to my other computer with my brother and play with him. But yeah, he's gotten into it, and a couple of my other friends have gotten into it finally because it was on. I don't know if you saw this. The entire game and every expansion that came out from it, from the beginning of the game to now, was on sale for $20 total, which. That's pretty good. Kind of pissed me off because I spent a lot of money.
Oh, I mean, same. I think I got the first 3 expansions at price. So I mean,
yeah. So they all were out for $20 for a week, and I was like, oh,
that's good.
A bunch of my friends got it.
I'm on a Metroidvania spree. I beat Blasphemous and all 3 of its endings, and now I'm playing Hollow Knight because I never played Hollow Knight. But mainly because Blasphemous 2 is coming out, and then Hollow Knight Silksong is coming out, and then I think next is Hades because Hades 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm just on a spree.
There's another Castlevania or Metroidvania style. There's another one, Dead Cells, I think was one, and Dead Cells just got a Castlevania crossover, so you can actually play as
Dead Cells
Castlevania characters and stuff.
I love the themes. I love the Souls-like aspect of it. It's just it scratches an itch for me. I love the lore. I like mystery, deep lore, like Dark Souls-esque lore, where the description of a world-shattering event is hidden in the item description of a dagger. It's I love discovering that shit, and things like Blasphemous and Hollow Knight, the lore is deeply buried in Hollow Knight. Not so much Blasphemous is a bit overt, but I like the different themes, and it's fun. I enjoy shit like that. Then after that, I'll probably end up playing. Let me look.
I don't even have. Kingdom is not too far out.
Oh yeah. Well, also I found my 2DS and I bought a charger off Amazon. One day shipping. Woo! So I've been playing Pokemon Ultra Sun because I never played that.
When you get a chance, you need to borrow my copy of Dragon Quest VIII.
Ah, yes, I've heard that's a good one.
It is my favorite of those.
Also, I'll probably end up getting Majora's Mask because the remake is on 3DS.
I have that. I have both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on 3DS. The copies, if you just want those, I don't play them.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'll take both.
Yeah, I'll bring my whole collection over. You can go through. I've got Final Fantasy. I've got all sorts of crazy shit. I have a very large 3DS collection for no reason because it was my favorite Nintendo console.
I bought my ex a 3DS, and then I was like, oh, I'd like a 2DS because I don't like the 3D graphics. So I bought one.
Do you have the foldable XL or do you have the big flat panel one?
No, I got the foldable, the blue and black one.
Thank God.
The flat one's not
the 2DS flip.
But I only bought it because I got confused about Pokemon. I thought that the starters for Omega Ruby were the starters for Pearl because my favorite starter set is that one with Piplup, Turtwig, and Chimchar. And I thought those were Ruby and Sapphire, which I got roasted for thinking that. Many of my friends told me I was so fucking wrong.
Yeah, because Ruby and Sapphire is the same one that came with Emerald, which was
Charizard.
No, Ruby and Sapphire is Emerald. That is.
That's right.
Fucking Torchic. make it. You're thinking of fucking what is after that? Diamond and Pearl is
Piplup, Turtwig, and Chimchar. I'm thinking of the ones before that. I'm thinking of like Red and
Torchic. Fucking.
I know what you're talking about. But anyway, so I bought that because I thought I bought a 2DS because I thought this game had those starters. I didn't even look it up. So I was disappointed, and I think I actually lost my copy of Omega Ruby. But I do have Ultra Sun, and I'll probably get X or Y or something like that because I've been on a Pokemon spree since.
Well, apparently X and Y are like a very widely appreciated, and then the sequels were just as good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's it. Ruby and Sapphire is Mudkip, Trico, and Torchic.
Yes, I did not like any of those starters.
And then Pearl, Diamond and Pearl.
I'm telling you, it's Piplup, Turtwig, and Chimchar.
Yeah.
I know this because it's my favorite. Turtwig is my favorite. Torterra.
I was very sad with it. Yeah, because I'm a Piplup guy because I'm a water trainer.
But I mean, they came out with the remake on Switch, so I played it.
I was real sad at that remake. Okay, here's the thing about it. I don't hate it. Here's my problem: is that they tried to reutilize, for nostalgia's sake, the DS tap screen.
Yeah.
Like Pokegear, and I'm like, this is just taking up.
I'm playing it on my TV. What are you doing?
Why do I need an active clock on my screen, which was a cool feature for the DS?
It was great. I
didn't have one of those.
Yeah, but now it's like I have 12 clocks in a 5-minute radius, or 5-foot radius.
And then you can press a button on the screen and it will glow brighter. And I'm like, why do I need a brightness adjustment on a screen that's backlit?
It makes no sense. That
was only cool on the DS.
Yeah.
It loses all of its flavor.
It really does.
But I did like the Underground expansion. They really did make that. In the remake.
I remember that being fun.
Me and my brother, I bought that game for Connor and I, and the whole thing, because that was the first Pokemon game we were conscious enough to play together, age-wise, and he beat it, and I maybe got to the second gym leader.
So did Troy. I got through it almost completely, and he got enough in to trade me a Gengar. Because I think that's the one that evolves. Yeah. And I don't think he even beat the first. I think he beat the first gym or something.
Enough to get you to where you can trade.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is fine. It'll
it's
be
the same thing with, because I bought the new games, fucking whatever they're called, Scarlet and Violet, and Kim has gotten one gym leader, and I'm at like the Elite Four. It's just like, I stopped at that point. I was like, all right, I've kind of done most of what I want to do. So that was fun. Keep in mind, Armored Core 6 comes out, which doesn't mean much to you and I, but what that does mean is that Shadow of the Erd Tree is in development right behind it.
True.
So that DLC for Elden Ring will be coming out, and again, Elden Ring being so far the most enjoyable Souls-like game I've played. I'm excited for that. I'm actually excited to get back into that world and like really play it and experience part of it for the first time again.
Same. Anyway, Murph, it's that time
8:30 essentially.
It's that
Whose
time.
turn is it this time?
I'll let you ask, name. I'll be the one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's opening the door of mystery? I wish there was an animation that we can someday get that you can press a button and then it goes like a cave with the door and then there's like darkness. And
one day I'll have like a Foley board too. I can just press for like cool sound effects. Like
I don't want to sound that guy, but like AI generation is perfect for this very moment because then you can be like, what's in the dungeon? And then you can type something in and a random image will generate and you can put it at the end of the dungeon.
Just have it sitting there.
So yeah, it would just be funny to have those kind of implementations someday, but we're not there yet. So all right then. Oh, Dungeon Master. Oh, greatness. Oh, Novel Weaver. I ask and pray tell, what lie in the dungeon? What is in the dungeon today?
Let's see what's in the dungeon, Murph. I'm gonna think.
Random word generator.
No, I was
shoehorns a bunch of shit together.
Finishing up an email. Murph, I think today what's in the dungeon is a newfound sense of wonder and discovery. I think that what's in the dungeon is not tangible in any way, shape, or form. It is the sense of accomplishment of two friends coming together and creating content and committing to continuing to create that content. I think that it is a embodiment of the will of the human spirit to be determined and productive enough to create. What sets us apart from the beast, Smurf, is the will to create, not just to exist. And I think that is what is in the dungeon. I think that's it.
Sounds like basically what you described is, what's in the dungeon? We are.
We are. It's us.
This podcast.
Surprise.
We open the door. It's us at the table.
It's all a loop. Bitches, you can't escape us.
Dungeon Inception. You open one door to lead.
Oh,
into
I'm
the
sorry.
same
This
door.
podcast is NSFW. I said a swear. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was the first one of the day.
No, I definitely said shit earlier.
Oh, that's the third one of the day.
It's like 12th, I'm
just
sure.
Did it again.
I think I've said fucking.
But yeah,
too.
that was fun. I'm glad to be back in this. I'm glad to have this.
We need some party music as we exit for
Party music,
just
like
great
generic
times. Just like
Pinterest. Some guy just gonna beat shit on a flute.
I can't do music. Yeah, exactly. So smooth jazz for some reason. I don't know.
No, I'm just going like.
Anyway,
straight up,
shoot us an email. what'sinthedungeon@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe. Smash that like. I'm gonna kill myself.
Jump off that cliff.
Leave comments. Ask us questions. I'll post the Discord on our Twitch page.
Someday we'll get fan mail. It'll be great.
Someday, maybe soon, it'll just be me mailing Murph a letter. It says, "What's up?"
Says no.
What's up? Anyway, everyone have a great night. And at some point, we will have a good final bit to say, like a good send off.
You've experimented with a few.
I have. You know, let me just.
Well,
hold
remember
on.
that the what's in the dungeon is supposed to be the sign off. Technically, we're supposed to say it.
But it's not. It's not like a non sequitur. It's more of
never-
like a question. It's like a bit. It's not like a non sequitur. Like, keep it cool, nerds, or something like that.
Should we put it at the beginning? It's like what's in the dungeon, and then whatever we find in the dungeon is the segue.
That could be.
The rest of the
yeah,
episode.
maybe that. We're discovering bits. Journey with us, audience.
We're figuring it out.
Get into the mind. No, but hold on. I'm gonna come up with a catchphrase. Okay, hold on. Oh.
Die forever being your.
No, it can't be something like that. Murph, it's been great tonight, and I want to remind everyone: make sure your toes stay cold.
Okay, sure.
Have a great night.
Enjoy yourself.